Hey everyone, this is Triple Play Fantasy. This is the Beyond the Analyst interview series. I am Zach at FF Chalupa Batman. Today I'm joined by the great Bob Harris at Football Diehard. How's it going today, Bob?
It's going fantastic, and I'm glad to learn I'm great at it. Every now and again, I get these brief moments of, wow, all right.
Absolutely. So if you guys are just tuning into this series, this is episode 27. So we are not here to get Bob's fantasy football takes. I'm sure they are wonderful, but it's the off season still. I know we're getting close to the season, but just want to have some fun getting to know lots of great fantasy football analysts out there. So go check out those first 26 episodes if you've missed those. They are on the Triple Play Fantasy YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe. And they are also on our podcast feed. So whichever way you're watching or listening to this, make sure you are subscribing, downloading, liking, all that fun stuff so you don't miss anything and to support the team. So, Bob, you are over at Football Diehards as a senior editor as well as a host for the SiriusXM Fantasy radio show as well, correct?
That is correct. So I do have lots of views, and you can find them all here. None of them, all there, none of them here. But yeah, so been doing it quite a while, since 1993. So it's I'm almost getting good at it, or maybe I was good at it for a brief spell and I'm on the decline. I'm not sure. It works somehow.
We got regression going both ways.
Yes.
The way it works, right? Well, awesome. So we'll start off with what do you enjoy most about hosting a radio show?
So a couple things, during the season, as I'm sitting here, you're doing kind of keeping up with the news during the day. And, it's like as with the rise of Twitter, it's, become pretty much like, taking a fire hose, shoving it down your mouth and turning it on. It's just, so keeping up with that, you don't really have a chance to think through. You're just trying to get the information out there. And so having a radio show at the end of each day, this is my favorite part. I mean, I love communicating my ideas and getting my opinions out there, but actually being able to sit down and think about and process all the information that I've gathered throughout the day, it gives me a chance to slow down, hit the brakes, and actually put some thought to what the things that I've been reporting on all day actually mean. Because I think we, as fantasy managers, we all do this. We get caught up in the moment, the minute by minute reporting, somebody looked bad for one snap of practice, and, ADP is rising and falling on those things. I think it's good to take a few minutes to kind of sit down and think it through. And then, I follow that up with kind of writing with more in-depth pieces, later in the evening and things after I've had some time to chew and digest and think them through and think of the implications of all the news that comes through. So that's my favorite part of it. Also, I don't want to diminish the part where, just love communicating the ideas, and it gives you a chance to be a little more nuanced and than some other platforms like Twitter, where you're out there and you're just, trying to put a take out there. I mean, nothing is black and white, right? I mean, and, we kind of have to do that to get attention or whatever, but I don't think anything should be like that. I think you should take time and explain that there's two sides of every story. And, as I'm sitting here advocating for Christian McCaffrey, I mean, we all realize the downsides, et cetera. But you get a chance to kind of lay it out a little better for the listener and help them understand what the possibilities are. The famous Matt Harmon range of possible outcomes is something everyone should always keep in mind. It gives me a good chance to do that.
Absolutely. And what are some challenges of doing a radio show for fantasy football?
Being on the radio. So, over the course of time, had been writing for a long, long time. And so getting into the radio portion of it, and I'd always liked to do, radio hits and things like that, but doing it over a sustained period for, a couple hours at a time, lots of opportunities to say stupid things, which I do on the regular, also lots of opportunities to correct them. But I think that, just the challenge of making that transition to becoming comfortable with talking, to yourself, essentially, especially, over the course of time, as I've gotten more into hosting, I've been kind of the analyst. And I have a great host who works on my show, Mike Dempsey, who's been in the radio business for 3,000 years, I believe is his experience level. But no, he's very good. And he makes it very easy. So as I've kind of transitioned more into hosting myself as well, kind of just learning the mechanics of all that and the mechanics of radio, it's just like anything else. There are things you do and best practices and things that you have to learn over time. So those were the challenges.
That's all my because I don't think there's too many fantasy radio shows out there. At least when I think of them, your show comes to mind as the first one.
Yeah, we've been doing it. This is our I want to say 10th or 11th year on Sirius. So, and I'd been doing shows with Dempsey, the terrestrial show, for many years before that, and so we had worked together a lot. And so, a lot of it is, just understanding how the time works and realizing audiences come and go, and you can reset things like that. All the little minutia that you don't probably think about when you're listening, that you're you're trying to keep up with when you're doing it.
That makes sense. And to kind of change gears a little bit, I know you're a huge proponent of healthy choices and fitness. You had an incredible health journey that you've shared before. It's on your
Right.
pinned tweet if anybody wants to read about it. But what lessons did you learn about dedicating your lifestyle to health and fitness that you can apply to working in the fantasy football industry?
So I think, just a couple things right off the bat, right? Like, so the getting tremendously overweight, a lot of that had to do with I used the fact that I worked a lot as a crutch to not take care of myself, right? And so it turns out that actually taking care of yourself and putting some time into that actually yields benefits, right? You reap rewards. You actually gain time. You gain time in terms of energy and the amount of effort you can put in, the amount you can focus. All those things are great. But over the course of my life, I have, dabbled in all kinds of things that were meant to destroy me, whether it was drugs, alcohol, then, getting over 400 pounds and all those things. And I think that just the key, then something that, just carries over in your entire life, including the fantasy football, the work, whatever you do, is you get to decide things, right? I mean, I quit some drugs that most people can't quit without help because I just decided, it's time. I have to be done. And I think even if you go through various rehabs and things like that, not to diminish it, anyone's process, how they go through this, however you get through it, it's however you get through it. And I'm probably somewhat unique in this, but once I decide something, I don't let go of it. So when I decided to get in the fantasy football business, that's why it will be another 15 years before I break even, is I was too stupid to quit, right? I won't, I decide and I just keep going. And as you go along, one of the things about this is you have the ability to adjust your approach, right? You don't have to, when I first started when I realized, look, it's time. I have to do this with the weight thing or I'm going to be dead very soon, right? And so if you go to that pinned tweet, there's a photo of a before photo when I was 45 years old. I weighed over 400 pounds. And it wasn't that I was round or all those things. It was like the look in my eyes. I felt like I was already dead and I was just waiting for a spot to fall. Just, I just didn't look like I was, had anything. And so I just said, okay, this has to change. Once the decision was made, then you have the benefit, just like you do in a business or in fantasy football business, getting into something, you could start, creating a process. And what do you do once you have a process? You make the process better, right? Never sit still. Never say, okay, this is the process. It's done. No, this is a process. It's an evolving thing. It should always evolve continuously, and you should always be trying to tweak it and make it better. And I've done that, with my health and fitness and diet, all the things that I'm trying to do. And, I say diet, just not as in going on a diet, but having a diet. This is the critical aspect of all this is, there's all kinds of diets out there where you can do whatever you want or eat this one thing so much and still lose weight. No, it's not going to work. You have to have a diet. Can't go on a diet and just change your lifestyle. And that's with all these things, that can be detrimental to your health. You have a hand in it and you have some decisions to make. And if you make the right decisions, it's a really simple thing. Make one good decision, right? And things get a little better. Make two in a row, things start to multiply. Continue to build a series of good decisions. And look, there's going to be bad decisions and setbacks and everything you do along the way. But make a bad decision or two, turn it around, man. Make a good decision. It could be something minor. Just decide something good and then start building on that again and never give up, realizing again that you're going to have, there are going to be setbacks in everything you do and dealing with those. How you deal with those is probably what's going to determine your success because those are going to come. So again, just make a process, make it better, and keep looking forward. Long-term goals in health, as in business. I mean, a lot of people want to get into this business and want to dive in and be the big thing. It's just not how it works. You've got to work at it a little while and put the effort into it over time. Even if you get some initial success, I mean, to sustain that success requires more diligence and hard work. So that all, it all seems to me to be very similar, whether it's, your personal life, your health life, your work life, all those things.
Absolutely. Consistency is key. And your story is very motivational and inspiring. So I appreciate you sharing it. And so I know you're a big music fan, especially metal, I believe, is your favorite.
That would be true.
So which band have you seen the most times live in concert?
So it's funny. The bands that I've seen the most are probably more proggy than, real metal. Like Rush, I've probably seen more than anybody. The funny thing is I've seen them probably 6 times. I think all of them were before 1980 when I felt like they quit being the Rush that I, like we all get these little snobby aspects of how we love music. I just thought once they hit Permanent Waves album, it kind of, wasn't for me as much anymore. But all the previous albums, so I saw them repeatedly. I've seen Tool 5 times, I want to say. And some of the biggest metal acts I've seen a number of times. But like Metallica, I've only seen once, which is shocking. They're like probably my favorite band. I've seen them once. And I've been a fan since, 79, I want to say the early 80s at least. And so, it's, sometimes the things just don't work out. But I've seen so many shows over so many years, Slayer many, many times, just a lot of shows that I've really enjoyed. And so now, work dictates a lot of there's times during the year when it's hard to see people, but, the off seasons, I put a lot of effort into seeing a lot of bands.
That's awesome. And is there a band still out there that's on your bucket list to see live?
Yeah, I came close to seeing. There's a Ukrainian band called Ginger that I'm really keen on. A newer band, not new, but newer. They're just phenomenal, and I would love to see them. Came very close, but kind of got pandemicked out of that one. And then they're back, on the road again. I think they were scheduled to come here last year, and that got put off. So I'm hoping that they get back here and I can see them. But there are many that there are probably many that I haven't seen. I think, that I need to see some bands that I haven't seen for a long time that I'd like to revisit. Judas Priest, I think, will be here in November, and I'll have to see if I can work that out. But I've seen so many bands, Alice in Chains, who I get the pleasure of covering their fantasy draft every year on Sirius. I've seen them a number of times as well, and they're super great guys who also love fantasy football. So that's pretty fun too.
So that sounds like a fun experience.
Yeah, it's really great.
Now, I'm not a huge metal person, but I went to Virginia Tech, so there's always a soft spot for Metallica with Enter Sandman for
there you have it.
So there I get that. And like you said, you've been in the fantasy space, I think you said since 93.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of new content creators or people thinking about starting into the fantasy space right now. I think with this pandemic, it's given people more time at home or maybe some time to kind of reevaluate what's important in their lives, which is a good thing. So do you have any advice for those either new content creators or someone that's thinking about stepping into the space?
Yeah, everything you just said. A lot of people are getting into this. I was talking to someone the other day, and I'm not sure if I tried to get into this business today, if I would have the smarts. A lot of really super smart people who really have great ideas are getting into this business that haven't got into, that we didn't see in the 90s and things like that. But the key for everybody is, a lot of people, smart people, can do smart things. It's presentation, it's the ability to communicate your ideas. And, that's the part you should be working on, because probably you're already smart enough. If you do the data analysis or if you're coding or whatever you're doing, you're probably already pretty good at that. So maybe put a little effort into honing your presentation, finding people that you like to listen to. And, I have a problem. I need to be careful. Like I tend to mimic things I like. Right. So I need to not go all in. I try not to listen to a lot of people because I'll end up, stealing from them, subconsciously. So, but go out and listen to people and hear things, and see what sounds good to you and what you like. And then, not necessarily, and mimicry is okay, right? It's not like, the most hideous crime, but, people are going to see it if you lean on it too heavily, and, kind of hurts your credibility a little bit, I think. So, but work on your presentation. And I think that ability to present those ideas in entertaining and ways that people can understand is really helpful. And also understand that, you're preaching to a choir out here in this industry. I always say you're selling ice to Eskimos. You're not fooling anybody in your audience. Everybody pretty much knows what you know. Maybe not the formulas or how you're getting to places, but we all, it's like when I got into this business, helping people find sleepers was a big deal. Well, I don't really know that there are sleepers anymore. There's value plays, overvalued, undervalued, things like that. But if you're trying to, find things that no longer exist, you're probably not doing a great job. So, kind of understand that the audience is as knowledgeable as you are, or at least, is out putting in an effort similar to you. So, it wasn't long ago when the off season was a time where I got ahead. I could sit there and I felt like, this is the time that I'm gaining ground. Well, that's no longer a time I'm gaining ground. It's the time I'm keeping up. And I think we all are, because everyone's paying attention to the news and things like that. It's your ability to analyze that news and put it out there in ways that are, helpful and entertaining, that it will keep you alive in this business. And And again, there's a lot of people jumping in who are very good at all aspects of this. But if you feel you're weak at any of them, just start working on them. Reps matter. If you get on, there's no shortage of podcasts out there, always looking for guests. No reason why you can't start your own and just start doing it. Start talking, start, putting your voice out there and taking turns. And then the more turns you get, the better you're going to feel. It's like anything else.
Yeah, no, that's all great advice. And I think there is that misconception out there that, I consider myself a content creator, not so much as an analyst, but I'm doing the same amount of research now that I did before I started creating content. I'm just now putting it into some kind of form to share to others, but it hasn't changed. My knowledge base has not changed.
Right.
Yeah. So I think it's important to remember that with the internet now, we have a lot more information out there at our fingertips.
There's no secret sauce out there that something that other people don't know, that you're going to have these revelations for them. It's more more along the lines of how you're processing the information or taking the data and processing it in ways that, a lot of paths to finding unique ways to present and process data. And that's really helpful. But, your ability to share that with your listeners or your audience in clear ways that they can understand is very important.
Yep. Actionable advice goes a long way now.
Yeah.
So that was the last of, we'll call it the serious questions. I have some rapid fire questions if you're game.
Of course.
All right. So you can add as much context or as little context as you want to these questions. And I had to do a Die Hard theme for you since you're part of the Football Diehards. So is Die Hard a Christmas movie?
Of course it is. This is not even a debate. I don't know why people talk about it. It's yes. I mean, yes, it's about other things, but it's a Christmas movie. It's at Christmas. There are Christmas themed things going on. And so I think that's enough for me. And also, I like taking a hard stance on this because it really irritates people who don't think it is a Christmas movie. That's always a fun thing to do, right? Try not to do that in too many aspects of life, but on something fun like a movie, it's really easy.
Yep, absolutely. And I believe he was the writer. I think it was the writer. He even came out and said it is a Christmas movie. So I feel like that's pretty definitive, but
I think so too.
But we love to stir up the controversy. So yippee-ki-yay, you can finish the rest, is a famous movie catchphrase. If you were in an action movie, what would your catchphrase be?
Probably the second half of that you didn't say. That's I am a capable swearer. I take great pride in it, using often expletives as punctuation or hyphens, if at all possible. So maybe the second half of that. But also, I think, I go back to the old school, an old school movie, take a line from that is "Don't push me, Major," which is a line from the original Dirty Dozen. And I'm a pretty nice guy. And I'm pretty easygoing and really try to be generous as I can until somebody it's like you give someone enough rope and see if they hang themselves. And then when they do and they start pushing, I don't like to be pushed.
Fair enough. So it sounds like your action movie will definitely be rated R for language.
Totally. Yes, absolutely. Much like the breaks on my radio show.
There you go. So would you rather swing off a building with a hose to land on another floor or run around with bare feet on broken glass?
Yeah, I'm totally swinging off the building on a hose. I'm not running around on glass. Every time I watch that movie, I just think, God, that is like the worst thing ever. I would probably rather let go of that hose and take the big fall than run across the glass. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, either way sounds terrible. But
neither are great, but one of them. So yeah, I'm like 60 years old, so my feet are like one of the most overly worked parts of my body, and I'm just thinking anything that adds a little stress to those, no, thank you.
That makes sense. And my last one for you: if you could have a giant stuffed animal, what animal would it be?
It would be a cat. Because I'm a big cat person, and I actually have one of those. It's a 30-pound cat, but it's like a real cat, and he's stuffed with cat. So that would be it. I'm a big cat fan, and have a very large cat who, if you're not careful, you might think is a stuffed toy because he's not really super active. He likes to lay around a lot. He's old too. He's old and big.
There you go. Hey, sounds like a great cat though. Well, that's awesome.
Wonderful.
Thanks for playing around with my Die Hard rapid fire theme questions.
No, I appreciate that.
And thanks for sharing so much about yourself and spending some time with us. Can you just let everyone know where they can find all of your great content?
Yeah, they can go to footballdiehards.com, go to my Twitter feed at Football Diehard. We have our magazines out on the newsstands now, 5 of them, the Pro Forecast. It's like the 33rd year of that. and the Football Diehards magazine, Draft Book, and Cheat Sheets. Lots of great content creators that you'll know from your Twitterverse out there producing, helping us out with these magazines and creating content in them, and try to keep that evergreen as well, realizing how magazines work. They're kind of a snapshot in time. We've been doing this a while, and that's also why I have the website. And you can hear me on Sirius 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern time with Mike Dempsey. And then generally in the regular season, you'll hear me on the pregame show. Jeff Mans and I have been doing that for many years. And you'll probably catch me and Dempsey on NFL radio too on Saturday nights. So pick up the pace a little bit once the season gets here.
Yeah, I'm excited. And thanks again for coming on, Bob. Like I said at the top of the show, this is Triple Play Fantasy. So make sure you're following us and the show on our YouTube channel. We have a lot of great content coming out, not just football. If you're interested in baseball, basketball, talk about movies, food, we got it all on the channel. Then we also have our football podcast. Make sure you are downloading and subscribing so you don't miss any great episodes, as we usually put out 3 to 5 episodes a week. Thanks again, thanks again, Bob, and have a great one, everybody out there. And this is Zach, NFF Julep Batman. Have a good one. Zach.